Welcome, everyone, to another episode of In the Eye of the Hurricane, presented by Coastline Contractors. I'm your host, Chad Choate, joined, as always, by the head football coach of the Manatee Hurricanes, Jacquez Green. I want to thank all of you out there for joining us each and every week as we talk everything Manatee football. So let's jump into last week's game, Coach. A long travel up to Valdosta. We actually traveled pretty well. I don't know how your guys' travel went. And faced a tough Lowndes team and some rain. Didn't get the full environment of what Lowndes really has. But again, a good, well-fought game. I thought we end up losing 30-15 to come back home with a record of 2-1. Tell us what you thought as a staff as you guys evaluated the film over this past weekend from the game last week.
Well, we needed a game like Lowndes on the road, a hostile environment against a solid football team. It shows you more about your team than blowing out teams early in the year. It's part of the process of our program to reach that next step is to be able to beat some of these teams on the road in their home stadium. Lowndes was the first one. When we played Buchholz, that'll be the next one. Thought we did some good things at Lowndes. I thought we stayed in the game throughout the game until late in the fourth quarter. It was a 7-point lead for most of the game. The thing that really killed us in that game was we didn't handle the 4 minutes, which is the last 2 minutes of the half and the first 2 minutes of the second half. Well, that's when they kind of jumped on us. They scored a long touchdown to go up 14-7, and then we fumbled, I think, twice in the first couple of possessions of the second half, and they pushed the lead up to 16 or 16-7 or what have you. So, and the way they was like just real methodical with the run game and not really trying to make any mistakes and not really trying to throw the ball much. We needed to score when we got the football, and we didn't run the ball well offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say there's obviously the competitors in us. You never want to lose, right? I mean, let's be honest, you never want to lose. But I do think you can learn probably more from your losses than you can sometimes your wins, right? Because you get exposed in certain areas, and again, I that's what I kind of feel like what this game caused. It definitely exposed us in some areas that I think we can learn from and move forward. Let's start with, before we get into some of the game stuff and all that, I thought that one of the worries I had was this is gonna be a first quarter to fourth quarter game, and we hadn't been prepared, or excuse me, not prepared. We hadn't played anything like that. Our first string guys have sat all second halves leading up to that game, Lake Mineola and Southeast. I'll say that I think we answered that bell. They had some guys falling cramp, and about 3 or 4 guys. We had nobody really cramp and fall out. So I thought you all as a staff have obviously prepared them for that run of playing fourth quarters. And do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I thought our kids have got some tough kids on our team that'll play hard. We got a few that we still need to get, to be able to play at the same, with what you would call it. Play with the same mindset that some of the older guys will play at. I thought we played hard throughout. They hadn't played in many fourth quarter games. I think they blew out their first couple of opponents. None of our kids really cramped or locked up. None of them looked extra tired after the game. So I thought we handled that well. Lowndes was a tough run game throughout the game. I thought we held our own for the most part. But the thing about that type of run game, the one time you make a mistake on the back end or fit it wrong, those guys out there, we knew watching film they had some big-time running backs. We knew 5 was special. We knew 2 was special. And the quarterback a good passer. So we just got to do a better job this week of playing the run, play after play, and make sure when our run fits, play after play.
Yeah, I think, let's jump into just some of the minutia of the game. I think for us defensively, I knew, I thought that where we're really going to win or lose the game was the interior, their offensive line and run game versus our, defensive linemen and linebackers. And, again, explosive plays, right? I mean, 2 explosive plays really is the difference in the game. That 80-yard touchdown, and then later on another big run as well for about like 60 yards. And really, I thought the first one, they come out in trips, and we had our guys. I think alignment was there. Mm-hmm. I think Caleb Matalau was out far enough. I don't know if he was fully apexed from that third guy in the in-man line scrim, but I thought he was enough. Just small things. I think when you watch it, just a little step too far inside and you just get the edge a little bit. And then obviously, on the perimeter they had some decent blocks. And really what sprouted, and popped them was those explosive plays. Just very little things. I don't think they ever, drove and dominated on us except for that one, maybe in the fourth quarter, rather middle of the fourth quarter, where they really had a sustained drive. Everything else was explosive or our own demise.
Yeah, we made them punt the ball a lot of times. I thought the defense played well enough for us to win the game. That particular play you was talking about, Kavion was not aligned correctly. He should have been out between 2 and 3. He was inside the 3, and they set it up top. They pitched it on the perimeter. They kicked them in. Poole got to do a better job at cornerback getting our blocks, and our guys got to take better angles from on the back end. And that's something that we need to see up top. We need to see if our Falcon, which is our apex guy to the field, we need to see if he's aligned wrong or right. Our game straight went down, so we couldn't really make the adjustments that we usually would make in the game like that. But that's no excuse. He knows where they're aligned, and he had to do a better job of aligning it. And we got to do a better job as coaches seeing him not align correctly and correct it.
Well, I think, and again, it's first time for our staff with these guys going off, being in a different environment, and so there's learning for everybody, no doubt. But I thought that we played ourselves. You talked about it right there in the beginning when you talked about your evaluation of the game. I thought they'd throw a little bit more. Now it was rainy. It was kind of a wet ball, and it was a kind of a constant drizzle. Never really like downpoured or anything like that. But when they were running the ball, they controlled the clock, and really they never got any kind of pass game going. I thought we did a pretty good job all night. And what's your evaluation, from a secondary standpoint on that? And we should have almost had a pick.
Yeah.
Eric Lewis right there for one.
We had an opportunity for interception early in the game, and I always tell the kids, there's no do-overs. You got to make the play when the play presents itself. You got to do it right there. I thought, offensively, we didn't run the ball great. I thought Keyshawn did run the ball hard. He came close to popping 2 or 3 out of there throughout the game. Some of the receivers have to make some plays down the field. We got to be able to make competitive catches in that type of game. You got to come down with those type of catches. Andrew was, he felt a little bit off on Andrew's standards, but at the end of the night, he still had good numbers and a high completion percentage. But, with Andrew, we know he can play much better. I think we should play much better. We got that type of game on our system. I'm expecting us to play a lot better against Buchholz this weekend.
So let's talk a little about their offense, our offense. And, it felt like, and you tell me, when we don't get the production in the run game, but I thought we started to get some production in the pass game for sure. Do you kind of say, look, and we didn't abandon the run completely, right? But I do think as I start looking at the stat sheet, we had like close to maybe 30 attempts, more than we've had all year. Obviously, different ball games, but that's a pretty decent high, percentage. Normally you're not that high. Is it because you kind of feeling the game and feeling what was going on? We felt like we kind of had to throw and to be able to move the ball.
I think it got kind of skewed because we had a 2-minute drive before the half where we threw the ball, at least 8 or 9 times in that drive. And then at the end of the game, once we got down 23-7, I think it was, we kind of threw the ball a lot more than that. But during the meat of the game, I was trying to at least stay with the run game some because it kept looking like Keyshawn was going to pop one out of there. He kept coming real close to popping one out of there. And just, for pass protection purposes, you can't just get back there and throw. Then a 3-3 stack, they'll start bringing guys from all over the place like that. So, at least wanted to show some type of resemblance of that we will still run the football. Because Keyshawn type of back, he get a crease, he can go to the house.
Absolutely.
No matter where we're located on the football
field.
You
mentioned, I thought he was. There was, and I said on the broadcast to Danny, I said, this feels like he's getting the 4-yard, 5-yard chunk, 6-yard chunk, and at any minute, when we know Keyshawn can do that, boom, is going to take the house, and it just never really developed, never really got to where he could really find that burst in that scene.
He was bouncing off tackles, and he was like one guy away from getting out of there or one trip tackle from getting out of there. So the thing he has to do is just stay patient, stay with his reads, keep pressing the hold, keep doing the things that he's taught to do it, and not just look to create a big play, or not just look to bounce the football in those situations.
Well, you kind of talked a little bit about, I do think for Andrew, I think he ended up the night, like you say, pretty good, but it just felt like there was something off with Andrew, and not just him, but it just felt like some of the deep passes, we connect on a couple of those.
Yes.
And in several different series, that game's much, much different. And I think we had guys open all night to be able to hit on it. It just seemed like a yard, a half yard too long. Or maybe one was arced a little too high and it came a little short. So close.
We were just off the entire night. We'll have a 10-yard route and we may go 12. We'll have a 6-yard route and they'll go 8. It'd be a quick out, and they, instead of taking 4 steps and breaking out, they'll take 2 steps and break out. I think we threw a deep ball and the guy grabbed the receiver and didn't get the PI, but the next time we threw it, we got the PI. So just off like that. We had AJ early in the game on the glance route, and Andrew pulled it down. He usually throw it and just take the lick, and he pulled it down and kind of ran out the pocket that time. So we were just off, and we did a lot of things that were uncharacteristic. It could have been, first time, a long trip on the road.
Sure.
They kind of skittish and nervous. So it's good. That's the more reason than not to play that type of game. So we'll try to. So we'll understand that. So if we in those situations again, we shouldn't feel as nervous or be as sporadic the way we played.
Well, you say uncharacteristic. We really hadn't turned the ball over much at all. We had the bad snap over the head that ended up being a safety, and that was the series after we start out. The game and have a it seemed like a mishap on whether we hand off the quarterback or taking it as a running back. I don't really know what it was, but those are things that are uncharacteristic. We haven't done that all year.
We had a play call where we was going to fake the sweep and hand the ball off just to get the linebackers moving left or right, so they couldn't just come downhill on us. And the right guard, he should be basing the end. He came down and the guy came free. Andrew should know from now on, if that type of thing happened, just kind of like eat the football.
Sure.
I think he still tried to put it in Keyshawn's belly, and Keyshawn got hit at the same time. There was a fumble. So hopefully we learn from that, and we learn not to complicate things when they're already not working in our favor as far as handing the football off.
Well, I felt like before the game, I love walking down on the field, just kind of get your blood going a little bit and get you back to my coaching days. But I felt like the team was ready. I felt like the team was ready. I felt like, so whatever y'all did travel wise and things like that, I think it really, I thought they were ready to go, and I really thought that that the game was going to be pretty close, which it was until it kind of broke there in the midway through the fourth quarter. Special teams, we get a blocked field goal, and this is just one of those nights. That the holder shoelaces, Ramsey. Otherwise, Ramsey catches that and he's gone.
Yeah. It was just one of those nights, man. But it was the first time since I've been here that we've been on the road and played a team that the kids really didn't know anything about. We went on the road to play Port Charlotte. We had just played them the year prior, but that was the first time them playing like a team, an unknown team. And so, it was a good experience for them. Hopefully we can build on that and elevate the program to the next step.
Agreed. I think it was a great experience. I know we never want to take the loss, but I think we can build on this and really prepare us for not only this next coming week as we travel, but in the weeks past as we hopefully continue to go deep in the playoffs. So that's it for last week. So stay tuned here as we got some messages from our sponsors. You'll be right back with In the Eye of the Hurricane. Welcome back to In the Eye of the Hurricane. We're going to move to this week's game. We play, again, a travel, probably about 2.5 hours, 3 hours up to Gainesville, playing Buchholz High School. It actually won't be at Buchholz High School. It'll actually be at Santa Fe High School. Some field issues and things like that up there as they share a field with some other teams. But let's talk a little bit about Buchholz, a very good program over the last several years, state championship run, semifinals run, etc. They don't have all those pieces coming back, but still going to be a very, very good team. They're 3-0 to start the year off, some really good victories. when you look at their schedule, beating Vero Beach, that's a team that's always consistently makes some deep runs into the playoffs. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about Buchholz as you, this past weekend, got to watch them and evaluate them.
They're a good football team. They've been to the semifinals the last 3 years. They've lost by a point last year to Lakeland. I think they almost came back and beat Venice the year before that. They've had a bunch of guys sign Division I scholarships the last 2 or 3 years, which shows the type of talent they have on their football team. A lot of my ex-teammates' kids are now playing for
Yeah.
them. Doug Johnson's son is the quarterback. Travis McGriff's son is the wide receiver.
I thought so.
I think Shane helps out and coach over those guys. So they're a very talented team. They have good size. They're very aggressive to the football. Offensive line is very aggressive. Probably be one of the better offensive lines we went against other than Lowndes last year. They did a good job up front, too. So they're a good football team. They played in a bunch of big games the last 3 or 4 years, and we play away. So it'll be a good atmosphere. It'll be a good team to face.
As I was looking at the roster and seeing some stats, I thought that Johnson and McGriff, I was like, are those related? So that's got to be pretty cool for you to be able to go, these are some of your teammates' kids. I mean, that's got to be pretty cool to be able to, and is that where the connection was to go and play them? Did you know that was the case, and that's how you scheduled them?
Well, I kind of knew they played last year. Keel, which is Travis' son, he was at Newberry playing quarterback. Did a real good job, and basically in Gainesville, everybody who's decent now has been going over to Buchholz to play football. So, and Doug went to Buchholz. He played baseball and football out of Buchholz, and son's there now. So, they're a good team though. They got some of the best players in that area on their team. They have good size. They have good speed. And the game came about. We needed a game. We needed a Week 4 game, and that time of year you need games. You're only gonna find games with some good teams, and Buchholz been a good team. So I'll be excited to play Buchholz. It'll be fun and exciting to go back to Gainesville to play Buchholz. Yeah. So probably just another thing on my bucket list, a chance to play against a real good team from an area that I spent a lot of time in.
Yeah. So let's talk a little about the Buchholz. So looking at their stats, they're pretty balanced run pass, like 86 to 88. I mean, it's pretty darn even. Johnson's done a pretty darn good job passing, and his stats look really nice. But so does their run game. Their run game, I think there's they got a couple backs that share the load a little bit. But tell us a little about their offense. What do they like to do formation wise, and who are their big playmakers they're trying to get the ball to?
They want to get into kind of like a sniffer formation, strong and weak. They want to run the ball inside zone, and they run some counter. Those are the base run plays. They want to come downhill, and they basically line up toe to toe and run like a wedge blocking almost. They want to knock you off the ball, make the game physical. And once you start putting too many guys in the box, they'll throw some alerts on the outside. They have a special receiver, number 13, Justin Williams, and he's an excellent route runner. He has excellent hands, so we got to have a way to contain him. And the thing that really helped them out this year is the fact that McGriff came over and he plays from the slot. So they got another guy who can help alleviate some of the pressure off the Williams kid. But everything starts with a run game. They're going to start with the run game, and they'll throw a few RPOs off of that. But if you can stop the run and make him have to sit back and throw the ball and be predictable, we can do some things. Johnson's not very mobile. He wants to throw the ball. And if you get pressure on him, he'll throw it somewhere. He'll throw it somewhere if you get pressure on him. So that's pretty much what they are offensively. Last year they was like offensively, but they'll bring in Miles Graham last year and let him play running back at 230 pounds. So
he's a big boy.
Yeah, defensively they're even front defense. They'll walk both guys out the box if you're in 4 wide. They play with a nickel and a wheel and a Mike linebacker. Both of the edge guys are 6'4", tall guys. Number 6, Nicholas Clayton, is committed to Wisconsin. He's an edge guy. He's very active, long. He listed at 6'5", 215. Yeah. Long, skinny kid, but he's active. He chased down a lot of plays. He caused a lot of the havoc up in the box area. In years past, they could pretty much handle the run with 6 guys in the box. But they did have one of those kids that went to Texas A&M the previous year. But they still stout up in that area. On the corners, they're very athletic. I think one of the corners is 6'3". The other corner run like a 10-900 meter. They have a safety who's like 205 pounds. He looked like a linebacker back there at safety. He's come down heavy run. They're very aggressive. They're aggressive defense. They tackle well. So we'll have to find some ways to move the ball. They're a good overall defense. They gave us some points to Vero. They pretty much shut down East Side. And they shut down Vanguard. They beat Vanguard 24-7. So we played Vanguard. So
we played Vanguard in the spring.
And they played the first game of the
year. We
year.
have a little bit different guys now than we had in the spring, but it's good to kind of see it, to be able to compare. And one thing about let's talk about this from an offensive standpoint. and you talk about, the run heavy and wanting to do a lot of inside stuff, but then you counter that with a counter run, right? And for those out there, a counter run, you make it look like it's going one way, but it's coming back the other. What's important from the defensive side, to be able to make sure that counter runs are not productive against you? I mean, what do you have to do to make sure it doesn't work?
Well, the thing we got to do this week that we didn't do last week, we got to better dent the football, similar to spilling the football. But when you spill the football, you're just giving yourself up and making the ball bounce. When you dent the football, you're making the ball bounce, but you're making the ball bounce with a chance to make the play.
To make a play.
Yeah, so we're trying to dent the football a lot more. I think last week we was going up the field too much and letting those guys kick guys and
create some larger gap.
Yeah, create too much a large
much
gap.
space.
So now the safety got to play in a lot of space coming down, making the tackles. So we've been stressing that this week about denting the football and making the ball bounce to the perimeter where our linebackers can come over the top or our safeties can come down and make plays. So we got to be sound in the run game, and if we do that well and make that ball not go vertical, I think we'll be better in the run game than we were last week.
Agreed. I mean, I think when you look at the way the defense is played, it's the explosive plays that have hurt us, whether it be run or pass. Go back to Lake Minneola, some of the deep balls. Go back last week against Lowndes. I think, there really hasn't been a team yet that's sustained drive 70 yards for a touchdown against us. It's been big, explosive plays. So speaking of that, you talked about Williams. And I think he's a junior wide receiver.
Yeah, he is.
And he's going to be a stud. I mean, he's already very good. How do we? And I don't really know what our philosophy is. What do you believe? Do you think you say, hey, look, let's let our guy be the best guy we got against him? Almost like a Ramsey for the Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey can kind of go. He goes cover the number one guy, or do you say, hey, we're just going to play what we do, and it doesn't matter who's on him. We're just going to trust our coaching, the technique, etc.
Well, in years past, we used to put Duran on those guys, but I had seen Duran for a long time. I knew what his fabric was made of. I knew what type of player he was. These guys are kind of new, so we'll try to double him some. We want to take him out of the game. If he's that good of a player, and the quarterback looks for him a lot in big situations, we want to take him out of the game and make somebody else beat us in the pass game. Take him out of the game completely and make somebody else beat us in the pass game.
So let's talk about their defense and like you mentioned, you got some long rangey guys who are going to get after it. I thought even at Lowndes last week and throughout the year, I think our pass protection has been pretty darn good, and we'll see obviously against the defensive end like they got, who's obviously going to Wisconsin, probably the best one we've seen. But I thought last week we did a really good job. What do we have to do offensively, to be able to move the ball on them and score points? Because it looks like it can be done, right? Vero Beach scored about 30-ish on them.
They jumped down in front of them, maybe 27-7. I think 21-7, and I think Gainesville came back and won the game in the fourth quarter. So I think we can spread them out. They're pretty predictable based on what type of formation you're in, how they'll play it. We had to take advantage of some of the stuff we've seen on film based on their tendencies and how they'll play. We got to be able to block the 5 guys in the box. I think if we can block the 5 guys in the box and do some things to put the apex guys in conflict, I think we can move the football. That's the first way I'll try to attack them, and then we'll try some other things after that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to put game plan out on the interwebs here. But, one of the things that I thought maybe last week we started doing maybe later in the game, and I think you kind of mentioned off that we kind of missed some things, but the RPO game. I thought the RPO game, run-pass option last week, wasn't there as much as I thought it would have been or could have been. It did kind of develop later on in the game, Faircon Shannon catching some and things like that. Is that something that maybe Lowndes did to us? Is that something looking at Buchholz? You talked about how they, when we go 2x2 and quads, whatever you want to call it, they'll bring some guys out. Is that going to be somewhere that we feel like Andrew can do little RPOs? I think he's very good at it.
Yeah, I think we can take advantage of some of their alignments. I thought last week, without game strat, we couldn't really see what they were doing, and they show a lot of different looks on the back end. And even after the fact, we watched the film. We got home. They was running 3 cloud. They never showed 3 cloud, none on film the whole year. They was kept clown to the trip side, and the safety kept trying to play over top of 1-1. So these guys are pretty predictable, but at the same time, we got to be able to adjust when the situation calls for it. I think they do some things that we can take advantage of. I think our kids get excited about playing a team of this caliber, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same as me. I'm looking forward to see how we bounce back. How did this week's practice go? I know we're obviously on third day here, but how did it go? Obviously, coming off of the first loss of the year, the travel, etc. Obviously, now we got to gear up to travel again to a very good team. How's practice gone this week?
It's going well. I think today will be if we practice today, it'll be the first time probably this year that we had practice all 3 days of the week.
Yeah.
No,
The
without
rain has been
interruptions or without having to cut parts of practice out. It's been raining so much that we didn't get much in last week because it rained so much. I think only Tuesday last week we got some practice time in. So we got a full day in yesterday. We got a full day in Monday. So today we should get a full day in. So I'm looking forward to it. We get a chance to get many reps as possible this week in practice. So, and that usually helps, These kids need to see it over and over and over again. They need to rep it over and over again. So,
and we're pretty healthy.
Yeah, we're pretty
Didn't
healthy.
come out of Lowndes with any major injuries, which is fantastic.
Nobody beat up, no major injuries. Only thing, this time of year a lot of kids get sick here and there. We should be with most of our guys. We got a little dinged up. I think Caleb dinged up his ribs or something like that. So we're waiting to see what the results on that. But other than that, we got depth at linebacker. I think Jason Smith to step in the middle linebacker. He's waiting for his opportunity. So I think we should be fine. So
talk a little bit about, before we end here, what's the game plan, to get up to Gainesville and that sort of thing for Friday?
We're going to leave here around 12:30. We'll drive up to, I think, Ocala. We're going to stop in Ocala, eat. We should get to the stadium, Santa Fe High School, around 5, which puts us to go out at 6 for warm-ups, and I think the game starts at 7.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, Coach, good luck Friday night. And everybody out there, thanks for joining us again. We appreciate you tuning in to In the Eye of the Hurricane. And again, just a reminder, we're on the road against Buchholz High School. The game will be played at Santa Fe High School, still in Gainesville, 7 o'clock kickoff. Check all the Manatee football social media accounts as we'll update you on any of the live stream and the broadcasting as we're moving to a different field, so we got to figure out all those X's and O's. But again, thank you for joining us, and as always, go Canes, go.